Running never did much good. Hiding doesn't last forever. You can't run faster when it's you you're running from. So you throw your hands up like doves to the setting sun. Somewhere, John, the stars are falling like jewels upon a thin black veil. You'll find the mysteries enthralling. 5 seconds seems like 5 billion years. 10,000 galaxies away, yet still so near.
Welcome to Karen Holton's podcast. Karen permanently lost 178 pounds and found happiness and success by following her own advice. She has now developed that advice into the quantum health transformation. Heal, evolve, and thrive. Karen's website offers a free webinar workshop series, and you'll also find tools, methods, and practices to assist you to become the change you want to see in the world. She believes that we are all connected. Heal the planet by healing yourself. Connect with Karen at her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and through Facebook at Facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Now for the podcast.
Today I want to talk a little bit about the interplay of the role of grief in the ascension process. Grief is a very intense vibrational state to be in, and it will attract other vibrations that are like it to give you the full benefit of the experience, and not to in any way discount the suffering, because the suffering is, quite frankly, at times unbearable, which is why there are so many suicides. Well, it's not the only reason, but I'm just saying. We have to face a lot of grief in our life experience, especially here in North America. And there isn't really any place within the construct to actively care for grief or acknowledge grief. And for me, I can't speak to anyone else, but for me, acute grief, knocked me into a completely different reality for a while. Quite a long time, actually. Depending, like the loss of my mother, that was very profound for me. I'm still working on that one. But my point is that it puts me at a different perspective. It abruptly rips me out of the construct, which is completely mind-controlled, and puts me into this alternate perspective where I'm now attracting similar energies. So I'm seeing things through my own pain. So from this different perspective, we're attracting these other energies. I'll give you an example. One time I was wrongfully detained by the RCMP and held in a very cold cell for a day denied medical treatment, I could go on and on about the experience, but it isn't really about the experience. It is about the experience within the experience. So anyway, here I am in this cold holding cell, and it's not made to be comfortable, trust me. No wonder people's mugshots makes them look so wild, because the shock of going through the process. So it puts you in an alternate reality, unless you're just cold, stone numb to it all, which is another category. But so anyway, here I am in this holding cell, and it did not, like I said, I needed medical treatment, I needed food, I needed different things to look after myself, and they denied me even soap. It was unreal. But anyway, while I was in there, I was having a particular genre of experience, and it immediately connected me to the billions of people, literally billions of people who are faced with this kind of treatment and experience on a regular basis on this planet. And it woke me up very profoundly because, nobody wants to wake up. Just another side note here, it's messy. You don't fit into the construct at all. You can poke through little holes here and there, but it's very challenging to function in the mundane three-dimensional reality. And then on top of that, depending on your fear, with me in my life, I was always diagnosed as being mentally ill and putting on all these drugs and stuff. Well, all of that just messed with the natural process I needed to go through. This is not an original thought, okay? Since the 1970s, they have known that so-called diseases like schizophrenia or extremes of PTSD, even complex, when people are given a nurturing, loving, safe, healthy environment, they work their way through it and they come back out into society. And this is often how mental illness has been treated traditionally, say in Europe and in some of the other countries. But in Western civilization, the construct is so fragile that it has to really isolate and either chemically or physically people we would consider being mentally ill. And there's nothing wrong with getting mentally sick once in a while. We get colds, why wouldn't we get a bit mentally sick once in a while? It's a very harsh reality we're living in, okay? So bringing that back into grief, there's lots that we're grieving for. And grief is like a master. It's saying now it's time for you to fulfill your pre-life experience contract. It's time for you to snap into it here and get into action, because this is what you signed up for, right? So on the other hand, it's really messy. Nobody wants to do it. You will become very unpopular very fast, which will add to the shock and awe of the awakening, which leads you into the Ascension program. The Ascension program is just the you becoming who you really are and participating in things that you signed up for before you came here. The problem, at least for me, was to let go of the construct. Constantly just in the habit of going to it and going to the external for validation or for expert information that I thought I needed someone else to tell me how to do my life. Well, my life was, pretty not normal. So there was a lot of change, oh my God, but a lot of learning, right? So yeah, grief puts you in that perspective where you then, like my situation when I was in that holding cell, put me back into that situation where I was identifying with all the loss and what that means, loss of culture, loss of women's ways of being, the older ways, the knowledge, was my mom awoke enough to pass on that to me, or was she busy trying to fit into a construct that no one can fit into? That is insane. That's an insanity that's been programmed into us. So to decode from all of that, right? So grief is a beautiful, beautiful, I think, sacred state that when viewed that way and when supported with lots of downtime and alone time to think and sort things out, the permission to go through all the emotions, because what happens through time is as our past unfolds as a lesson, we see it, the situation from all the different perspectives, which is what comes out of it. And so we build our own wholeness, maybe by projecting the wholeness onto, I don't know. I mean, there's many ways of looking at this. I'm just trying to be respectful to all the ways people think out there. So anyway, long story short, the lesson I learned in the holding cell and the lesson I learned from losing my mom, which still bothers me, but I'm dealing with it. What can I say? I'm dealing with it, and I'm becoming so much richer than I ever knew I could be. And I look back on myself as I grow, and I have great compassion, because I go, oh my God, Karen, how did you do so well with what you had to work with? I'm so proud of you, and that's me. That's the new me that I'm. Sorry, I get very emotional very easily. It's just, I can't change it. I've tried editing me out, and you know what? I think it's better if you just know me, because that's who I am, and that's what I'm good at being. So, yeah, grieve. Allow yourself to grieve, and it's, again, one of those really messy places, and where do you go? Oh, your friends don't want to hear about it. And mostly because it triggers their own grieving. It's not that they don't care. Well, some don't care. It's a reality, right? I don't know. It's an interesting world, but most or some, I don't know. I can't even generalize. It all depends, right? We'll get what we need to get. But so what I'm saying is accept this as a spiritual timeout, and you discover, like with my mom, I discovered I spent a lot of my life being really mad at my mom. Well, my mom, quite frankly, was a brat, and she didn't have a lot of empathic ability, and so she was trapped in very much in the construct, but within it, oh my God, she did a lot of really loving things towards me. And so with their passing, if I allow myself to feel her, for a while there I shut her out. I just couldn't handle any more pain. But you can always handle more pain, just like you can always handle more love. It's you just get stronger. I can't explain it any better than that. But so, we're all changing, and you can try to run, but you really can't hide. The song I use before all my podcast, well, not all of them, but most of my podcasts is about running. It's about running from ourselves, how you can't run. It's everywhere. It's in everything. You may as well sit down and go, okay, I'm going to grow a pair, and I'm going to accept this because I'm not alone. And that's not just on a physical level, that's very much on a spiritual level, more so on a spiritual level. And if you listen to some of my other podcasts, you get to understand some of that. And I really recommend you go to my website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and click the free resources tab. There's so much. It's each subcategory is just a rabbit hole in itself, and then each podcast is another rabbit hole. And don't believe what I'm telling you. Instead, let it trigger what is real within you. Let it trigger whatever, the good, the bad, or the ugly. Let it trigger it and have a look at it. It's ever so fascinating, really. Yeah, and sometimes I get lost in bits of the smaller picture. I know a lot of people are really going down rabbit holes, but they're ultimately looking at trees. And I'm guilty of this myself. And we really need to stay focused on the forest. So what that means is go watch my Step 9 primer especially and lesson, either the 1.0 or the 2.0 version. And then come back and take a look at any aspect in your life and view it through a quantum reality, which means it's not this or that or something else. It's this and that and something else. When you start to plug it all in, right, oh my God, you get a better sense of the whole. And it brings pain because you understand more. That's not fun to empathize with, but you also get all the joy and all the possibilities and way more options, and it becomes so much easier. So I want to do a shout out to my friend Julie, who is struggling with some of this right now, and loss of the relationships that she would love to have with her family. Oops, there goes my phone. Grief, we all have it. We all have it. We all deal with it every day. Or don't, but if we don't, I got to do another podcast that's about my phone addiction that I struggle with every day and limit myself as a parent to my child self to how much exposure I'm going to have to it. It's interesting how people take it, too, when you don't jump right back with a message. But, it's about me having my full journey here and balancing things. And I want to do one on extremism, which I struggle with all the time. So anyway, I hope you're all having a good day. And if you're having a really shitty day, really take advantage of it. Really become still, nurture yourself, maybe a nice soothing cup of herbal tea or coffee if that's what you need, a joint, or maybe it's a cigarette. Like, no judging here. We're all on doing the best we can with what we have, but do take good care of yourself and try to get a nice green salad, an organic green salad in if you can. Okay, I love you. I love you all. I feel you all. Take care.
Lion only makes you hurt. Denying only makes it worse. Love and surrender seem the fastest way. to bring an end to bitter, painful days. Somewhere, John, the stars are falling like jewels upon a thin black veil, and you will thrill to hear your calling. 5 seconds seems like 5 billion years, 10,000 galaxies away, yet still so near.